Daf Yomi, Tractate Bava Metzia, page 60a, top of the page with the words Ve'ein Sarek Lomar, etc. And needless to say, one may not intermingle new produce with old produce in the event that the old produce is superior, as with grains, since intermingling lowers its value. Actually, they said, with regard to wine, they permitted one to mix strong wine with weak wine because one thereby enhances it. One may not intentionally mix wine sediment with the wine, but one may give the buyer wine with its sediment. The seller is not required to filter the wine. One who had water mixed with his wine may not sell it in the store unless he informs the buyer that it contains water. And he may not sell it to a merchant, even if he informs him of the mixture, as, although he is aware that there is water mixed with the wine, it will be used for nothing other than deceit, because the merchant will likely not inform the buyer that it is diluted. In a place where they are accustomed to place water into the wine, to dilute it, and everyone is aware of that fact, one may place water in the wine. The prohibition against mixing different types of produce applies only to an individual selling the produce of his field. By contrast, a merchant may take grain from 5 threshing floors belonging to different people and place the produce in one warehouse. He may also take wine from 5 wine presses and place the wine in one large cask, provided that he does not intend to mix low-quality merchandise with high-quality merchandise. Gemara, the Talmud says, Tana Rabbanan, the rabbis taught, the sages taught, needless to say, if the price of the new produce is 4 se'ah for a selah, and the price of the old produce is 3 selah for a selah, one may not intermingle them together. That is full-fledged deceit, as one is selling inexpensive produce at the price of expensive produce. Rather, even if the price of the new produce is 3 se'ah for a selah, and the price of the old produce is 4 se'ah for a selah, one may not intermingle them. This is because, in this case, the price of the new produce is higher, as people want to age the produce. New produce is more valuable to those who seek it to place it in storage for a lengthy period, although it may be of inferior quality compared to old produce. The Mishnah teaches, actually, they said, Be'emes Amru, they said, with regard to wine, they permitted one to mix strong wine with weak wine because mixing the wine enhances it. Rabbi Elazar said, that is to say, every time a halakha is introduced with the phrase, actually, they said, it is an established halakha with regard to which there is no uncertainty. Rav Nachman says, and it is with regard to the period when the wine is among the wine presses, meaning before the wine ferments, that they taught this halacha. When the wine is still in the process of fermentation, if different wines are mixed and ferment together, this enhances their flavor. By contrast, if they are mixed at a later stage, this will harm their flavor. The Gemara asks, and today, when people mix old and new wine, even when the wine is not among the wine presses, on what basis is mixing permitted? Rav Papa said it is because buyers are aware of the potential loss and waive it. Rav Acha, son of Rav Ika, said, in accordance with whose opinion is this Mishnah? It is in the opinion of Rabbi Acha, as it is taught in a Braita. Rabbi Acha permits mixing in a case where the product will be tested before it's purchased. Then there is no deceit, as when the buyer tastes it, he is immediately aware that it is a mixture, and the choice of whether or not to purchase the product is his. The Mishnah teaches, and one may not intentionally mix wine sediment with the wine, but one may give the buyer wine with its sediment. The Gemara asks, but didn't you say in the former clause of the Mishnah that one may not mix sediment at all? Unless you say, what is the meaning of he may give the buyer wine with its sediment? It means that he informs the buyer that the wine contains sediment. This suggestion is not tenable. From the fact that the latter clause teaches one may not sell it in the store unless he informs the buyer, and he may not sell it to a merchant, even if he informs him. It may be inferred that the former clause is speaking of a situation where one may sell it in the store even if he does not inform the buyer. Rav Yehuda said this is what the Tana is saying. One may neither mix sediment remaining from wine that he poured the night before with the wine of the next day, nor the sediment of the next day with the wine of the night before. But he may give the buyer sediment of that wine itself. That is also taught in a Braita. Rabbi Yehuda says, with regard to one who pours wine for another, attempting to pour the liquid while leaving the sediment in the cask, that person may neither mix sediment remaining from wine that is poured the night before with the wine of the next day, nor the sediment of the next day with the wine of the night before. But he may mix the sediment of the night before with the wine poured the night before, and the sediment of the next day with the wine of the next day. The Mishnah teaches in a place where they are accustomed to place water into the wine to dilute it, and everyone is aware of that fact, one may place water in the wine. It was taught, one may dilute the wine by adding water that will constitute 1/2, 1/3, or 1/4 of the mixture, in accordance with the local custom. Rav says, and that it was with regard to the period when the wine is among the wine presses before the wine ferments that they taught this halacha. If wine is diluted at a later stage, the dilution will cause the wine to spoil. New Mishnah. Rabbi Yehuda says a storekeeper may not hand out toasted grain and nuts to children who patronize the store due to the fact that he thereby accustoms them to come to him at the expense of competing storekeepers. And the rabbis permit doing so, and one may not reduce the price of sale items below the market rate. And the rabbis say if he wishes to do so, he should be remembered positively. One may not sift ground beans to remove the waste, lest he charge an inappropriately high price for the sifted meal, beyond its actual value. This is the statement of Abba Shaul, and the rabbis permit doing so. And the rabbis concede that one may not sift the meal only from the beans that are close to the opening of the bin to create the impression that the contents of the entire bin were sifted, as this is nothing other than deception. One may neither adorn a person before selling him on the slave market, nor an animal, nor vessels that he seeks to sell. Rather, they must be sold unembellished to avoid deceiving the buyer. The Gemara asks, what is the reason for the opinion of the rabbis, who permit the free distribution of toasted grain and nuts? It is because the storekeeper can say to his competitors, I hand out nuts, and you hand out jujubes, whatever that is. All merchants are able to hand out goods that will attract children, and consequently, this is not unfair competition. The Mishnah teaches one may not reduce the price of items below the market rate. And the rabbis say if he wishes to do so, he should be remembered positively. The Gemara asks, what is the reason for the opinion of the rabbis, who not only condone the practice, but even praise the person, saying that he should be remembered positively